Hey everybody. Good morning to y'all. Another day in time and space of the pressure cooker of unwinding everything is my my observation. Woke up this morning with a tight chest and something in like a tea kettle. I got to make that noise all the time to kind of get off or release whatever's going down. So today, I was driving my son. He's going off to do airsofting with his buddies today. And I saw this little fly behind my windshield. And you know how they just pound their head against that wall or that glass all the time. And I just kind of got thinking, it's like from that bug's perspective, it doesn't know what glass is. All it knows is that the world's out there. And every time I try and go there, I bang into something. And you can see them. They get madder and madder, or I don't know if it's mad, or they can be mad. But that bug is trying to go through that glass because with its eyes, it can see the world, and it's normal. And without a concept of what glass is or what its purpose is or any definition of it, can you imagine the frustration that a bug would have trying to get through that glass? And it made me kind of look inward on our reality and how our world works. And just imagine being that bug, and the glass is a whole bunch of beliefs, societal expectations, definitions of things, past experiences, shared knowledge from other people, and that glass, and it's kind of like us. We're sitting here walking around in the world, and we're seeing all the things that we want, and we're trying to go towards them, and we keep banging into stuff. And that's the process of learning as a human being, is to bang into stuff, use our mental processes or knowledge to not bang into stuff more. And you slowly start to form a perspective that's a safe way to get to that thing. Let's go simple. Let's say you can see the grocery store. It's across the street, but it's behind 2 rows of houses. And if you tried to walk straight from where you are right now to the grocery store, you'd bang into those 2 rows of houses. So if you were that bug, you'd just keep banging into that and maybe go a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, and maybe you'd find the gap between the 2 houses, but then you'd run into a fence, and is there a gate in that fence? And you'd bang into that, and eventually you'd probably be trapped in there because now you're in this little gap between the 2 houses, and you just get frustrated and stop. But as a human being, we're going to go and we're going to do trial and error, which is a little similar to the bug, but you might have a little more logic to it. It's like, okay, go into the gate and maybe try the other side. Maybe there's a gate there, and hopefully there's a gate in the backyard, and you might get through that direct route, or you might say, oh, these things called roads, and there's these things called paths, and by the definition of the road and the path, you can follow it, and it's going to take you to the end of the houses, and you're going to have to watch out for the cars, and you'll make the turn at the edge of the houses, and maybe that road goes off in a different direction, and you might follow it for a long, long time and really never get to the grocery store. So next time you come back and say, geez, I walked for an hour and I never got there. So you're going to go out the other side and try the road the other way. And this one has some twists and turns, and eventually it brings you there. If you start looking at your life, you're doing that same thing all the time. And then we overlay it with things like, okay, let's say like traffic laws or trespassing rules or these kind of things. And it changes the granularity of that path you're going to take to go there. It's like, I'm not going to walk on somebody else's property. I'm not going to violate their house. I'm not going to walk in their backyard, even though there's a gate, because that's trespassing. But if you didn't have that rule, you'd just constantly be trying things until you found it. So if we start digging down, we have these shared experiences, these shared honorings of other people, these shared ways of doing things. And let's say, for example, you had a bad experience with a dog before, and you went into somebody's backyard and a dog bit you. you're going to be really, really careful every time you go into somebody's yard that you don't get bit by that dog. So if we start looking at what our human experience is, we're trying to stay away from these situations that cause us trouble or pain or suffering or trauma. And essentially, over time, the longer we've lived, the rules get more and more and more. And it limits what you can do. And you slowly grow, like I said, that bug hitting the windshield, and it's trying to get through the windshield. It can see through the glass, but it's so single-minded, and it doesn't have a lot of experience to stop them. It's just banging and banging and banging. But in our experience, we go and build these rules and these ideas and what worked out last time and what didn't work last time, and eventually you build this kind of glass cage for yourself as a human being, because now you're like, oh, I can't do that. Or let's say you're on a date, and it's like last time you went on a date and you reached out to kiss the person, they kind of pulled back and it scared them. And now all of a sudden you have a rule that says, I don't kiss on the first date because that was a little bit traumatizing. You didn't feel comfortable or whatever. So now you've limited yourself to protect you from that bad experience last time or that hurt. And all of a sudden now you can't kiss, or you can't kiss on the first date, or you can't whatever. You can start to look at how all these experiences that didn't work out start to form this glass box around you. And that glass box eventually just gets tighter and tighter and tighter, because there's always going to be bad experiences, and you can't judge every situation by how it worked the first time. That person might have had a trauma. Maybe that person was raped before, and reaching out to kiss without permission was scary for them. All of a sudden, we get in this box and we can't figure out why we're in the box, but we're progressively trying to protect ourselves and progressively trying to do things in a way that everything works out. But that's not the way life works. Life works, it's kind of a trial and error process. It's like, okay, let's try this. Let's go back to dating, for example. It's like, okay, that first one didn't work out and they didn't like the kiss and that kind of pushed you away. Well, you're going to go into the next one. Okay. Now you're limited by the fact that you're not going to kiss that person. Well, it's not going to be much of dating long term if you're not going to be able to kiss or love that person. So do you continue on and say, okay, every time that I've ever dated, the kiss didn't work out, so now all of a sudden you can't have kisses, so eventually you're to the point where you stop trying to even have relationship? That's the kind of stuff that can happen inside of us. And that's the kind of thing that creates these artificial limits based on bad experiences. And what we need to learn and start to adapt to is, especially right now, because everything's changing, the whole world's really breaking down. Old beliefs, old limiting behaviors are being pressured to be released so that you can reopen to possibility. And then the universe is going to give you opportunities where you can test that and try it out. And I'm going to tell you a secret. The more you start releasing those old beliefs and entering with an open heart, the more gifts you're going to get. And those gifts, instead of banging into the glass, all of a sudden now the glass has little holes in it, and you didn't realize they were there, and you're banging and banging and banging, and then all of a sudden there's a little hole, and you can stick your fingers out and you can see that new reality, and it's like, oh, okay, this glass isn't so impenetrable now. So now what I'm suggesting, and in my life I'm doing, is you go out and you try and you test and you try something new. You have that awareness of that old thing, but the easiest way to progress forward is just to forgive it and let yourself be open to the possibility that that same thing won't happen again. And then ask the universe and just say, hey, I'd love to have someone come into my life that loves to kiss, and they're going to reach out and kiss me first, instead of now holding back and being worried that that kiss is going to mean something, or you're going to get traumatized because they don't want it. Now all of a sudden willing partners are going to show up. But before, you couldn't have that because every time you tried, it didn't work out. And then you're like, holy fuck. Santi says, for life, for me, is to throw darts in every direction and see what hits. And that's the unlimitedness. You go and try and see what's possible right here and right now. And be aware that the possibility in every moment changes, because the people that you're sitting with, the people that are around you, the way the world's working at that moment is different every time. So to think that one action always results in the same result in this human life is insane. It just limits you and crunches you down. But we're in a rush to try and make connections with people and all that. And we're confused and we don't know why. It didn't work out last time and I got hurt by that. And there's a trauma that goes with that. This process that's coming on right now is squeezing all that. The tightness in your chest, the fear, the anger, the angst, all this kind of stuff is all part of that pressure getting you to kind of burst open so that you can start to open to possibility again. So what's holding you back might be you. And that's a hard one because it's like, fuck, I did my best and all this kind of stuff. What's holding you back is a whole bunch of beliefs. You'll have people in your life that gave you good instructions based on their experience and said, oh, that's never going to work out. Don't try that. Oh, that's going to hurt you. All this kind of stuff. You build these artificial barriers based on them trying to protect you and love you based on their experience. But your reality and their reality are two completely different places. And right now, the reality is changing for everyone. And every day, the limits and the possibilities and the changes are actually expanding. So I'm going to suggest try everything new again. Try it like as a baby, as a fresh face, as with absolutely none of the old, and just try it. It's not an easy task sometimes because there's that fear that you might get rejected. There's that fear that you might get hurt. There's that fear that everything's not working out. But all I can say is right now, if you're feeling really held back, try again. Try again. Go back to the universe. Forgive that thing. Open your heart. Even if you're a little bit scared, a little bit tentative, try again. And like Santi said, throw some darts in directions where you've never tried before or ways that was before that maybe didn't work out, but let open the possibility that something's going to work out this time. Because we are in a malleable space with growing, beautiful topsoil in the universe to have all our dreams start to grow, to rise up out of the soil. And only by trying again, only opening to possibility is the only way that this is going to improve. And it's not about forcing it. It's not about anything. It's about being open and loving to yourself and possible, and release the death grip on your heart and release the death grip on this is never working out or the belief that is, and just say, I choose it's going to work out this time. I choose something beautiful is going to happen. Santi says, universe wants you to succeed. It just asks, how bad do you want it? Yeah. And you're going to have to go on untreaded soils. You're going to have to go in places where it's a little bit scary. You've never tried before, but just go in with an open and loving heart for yourself and just see what shows up. Because right now, there's a perfect place for something new to show up. And that's all I'm saying. If you're feeling limited, you're feeling you don't have dreams anymore, you're feeling like crushed by the world and frustrated, try again. Because right here and right now, there's magic happening for everyone. So try again. You're going to be surprised. And if something beautiful happens, share it here. What we're giving by sharing it here is telling other people that magic is possible. And we're just opening them to possibility. And we're opening to new. And we're opening to beautiful things that weren't possible before. What's Santi say? And when the universe puts obstacles in your way, it's different things you need to work on for your own personal growth. Yeah. If it's not working out, it's like, oh, well, maybe you're holding on to some old trauma. You're holding on to some old beliefs. You're holding on to some programming from somebody else. You're holding on to stuff that's not in alignment anymore. But if all you got was failure before, the universe is going to give you a heap and load of failure because that's all you're expecting. But if you're expecting something new, something beautiful, something better, and keep allowing that and affirming that, you're going to get something better eventually, because eventually that vibration and that hold that was like, fuck, every time it never works out is going to all of a sudden loosen. And as soon as it's loose, little stuff's going to start popping through and it's going to be amazing. And yeah, we're not in struggle. We're not in fight all this time because The universe is pushing us always to give us things exactly in alignment with our vibration. And if it's not working out, we got to look at our vibration. We got to look at these rules. We got to look at these past beliefs, and we got to let it go and try and start fresh. And sorry, there's no try, but it's not a simple task. It is, let's change that around. It is a simple task, but the way we've mangled up our brain, it feels hard. So just forgive and say, universe, I'd love better. Universe, I'd love better. And just let that go out and see what happens. Without any expectation. It's like, oh, I'm not going to be unless this happens, or I get a new lover, or my relationship works out. No, I deserve better. It's time. See what shows up. And then maybe let go of some of that stuff that's not working out, because that's all you think you're worthy of. Let it go. Make room for fresh. Make room for new. So hopefully this is beneficial. And if you have any questions or it's not working out for you, just put a message underneath here, and we'll get lots of beautiful people giving feedback and helping us to get there. So love you all. If you're still on, Santi, thank you very much. And have a great day, everybody. Love you all. Have fun. Get past that glass.